your ability to connect to other youth, the fact you are young, that really matters, because you, without any doubt, will inherit the earth. So I won't be here. You will be in charge. And you've got to make sure everybody knows that. The steps we take today will impact for when you hand over the reins to the next generation. These steps today are your most critical steps. The world will either swing towards more greenwashing, more burning of fossil fuels to make, say, hydrogen. You've heard of this complete lie called clean hydrogen. Have you heard of cancer-free tobacco? Or have you heard of clean coal? I mean, these are just straight-out lies. There is only one clean form of energy on Earth, and it's green hydrogen. Yes, we're starting to make a great deal of green electricity, and you can plug that in, but that works for some of the time. The sun's got to be shining, the wind's got to be blowing. When that doesn't work, you need a massive battery. No battery in the world is big enough. The battery in the world which is big enough is the biggest medium on the universe, the biggest medium in the world, and that happens to be hydrogen. So we can store all the energy we ever want in hydrogen during the evening, and we can send it back out during the day when we need it, or we can store it during the summer and send it back out in the winter when everyone needs to heat their homes. It is the bulletproof fuel, and it will never harm the planet. The problem was we couldn't define what it was. Until we can define what it is, no one can agree on it. Grace and I have just been through this massive campaign called modern slavery. Who's heard of modern slavery? Righto. Well, I can assure you, only a few years ago, no one would have, because we didn't agree on what the term was. You had India arguing with Indonesia, China arguing with North America. Was forced child marriage, was that slavery? Some people said, no, that's forced child marriage, it's something different. Now we all know that if you're forced, like a forced marriage or a forced child marriage, or you're forced to do labour, or you're taken away and you're forced to do stuff you'd never voluntarily do, that's just caught now in one big term called modern slavery. And guess what? Governments around the world are now legislating it out. We'll get rid of modern slavery because we now know what it is. We've all agreed. So 1 hour ago, I was chatting to the United Nations, and I let them know that I was coming to this meeting. And I also let them know, with great celebration in my heart, that the world has declared what green hydrogen actually is. It's made from renewable electricity, sun and wind only, not nuclear, not coal, not this, not that, which will cook your planet, but just renewable electricity. It will produce less than 1 kilo of carbon for every kilo of hydrogen. That to me sounds like a lot, right? Until you think, hang on, steel made from hydrogen produces next to no carbon. Steel made from coal produces 26 kilos of carbon for every kilo of steel. 26. If you burn oil or coal to make hydrogen, it produces 16 kilos of carbon for 1 kilo of hydrogen. So the only fuel we must use is green electricity to make green hydrogen. And it, of course, respects the environment, respects human rights, and no slavery. So that term is now accepted. And when I was speaking to the United Nations, I put to them, I'm going to suggest to this youth group, as the founding members of Youth for Green Hydrogen, that's what you are, that you guys get together and you petition the United Nations for representation in United Nations Youth for a session in New York in September. Youth for Green Hydrogen. If you can collectivise yourself into that, I will help get an audience with the Deputy Secretary General or the Secretary General, and we'll push to get a seminar or a session in the United Nations annual conference in September in New York. If we can achieve that, team, if we can achieve that, then you've got COP27 in Egypt after that in November. Okay? And then we get really serious, because COP is about stopping global warming. All the world comes together. And if we have a United Nations endorsed Youth for Green Hydrogen in September, and we present it in November at COP27, then everyone has to take into account that actually the youth of the world does not want to inherit a world which is burning, a world which is drying out, a world which is heating up. You are going to inherit, because you are demanding it now, a green hydrogen world. So I want to leave you with that thought. Jonas, where's Jonas? He had to run, but I'll make sure that we get your names, your numbers, and you guys organise yourselves, and then I will support you. Okay? That's my idea.